Where have you people been all my life? I even got the right pose there. That was incredible. Hello and welcome to Miami. And welcome Israel Gutierrez.
Hey,
My
Tony.
man. We just caught up for a second. Man, you look great.
Well, thank you, but you look
Yeah.
like a tourist.
I am a
my guy,
tourist.
because you have the most, I don't know, South.
Yeah.
Is that South Florida? Is it just a tropical drink? You've got a drink inside of a
This
pineapple.
is mango, this is pineapple, and this is vitamin C or something.
Inside of this freezing studio.
Yeah, I know it is kind of cold. I just picked up a sweatshirt so I could wear it in here. How are we, America? It's great to see you. Oh, my goodness, how much I miss you guys. I have been taking some time to decompress. Just got back from Los Angeles, Israel. I told you I called you when I was out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Francesca was playing water polo at Pepperdine. It's Malibu water polo camp. And I got to do some surfing while I was out there. I surfed the waves of Point Break, which is zeros.
Really?
Yeah.
How long have you been surfing? Like your whole life?
This week.
Okay.
Been on a board twice
Went
before,
straight there to the
and it
Point
went
Break
straight to
waves.
the Point Break. There's a scene in Point Break where they go 5-foot walls at zeros, 5-foot walls at zeros, and everybody gets excited.
Knowing
and-
you, I'm surprised you didn't go to like Portugal.
Then there's there, yeah. Nazaré is unbelievable. Those are massive, heavy waves. So zeros has a nice, light, soft wave, and I was able to get up on the board for a good 10, 15 seconds. I was using a board that was the equivalent of a Buick, a foam Buick. And Hugo Hines, my man, and Tyler, my man, who is a stand-up surfer and a stand-up comedian in his other job,
So he doesn't do the comedy on this.
He did. I asked him. He does a Trump impression, so I asked him to do Trump. Oh yes, Tony's trying. Big, strong man are crying now. He's so impressive. Raw athleticism. I don't do it.
Everybody's got a Trump, so you don't need to.
Okay. So that was last week. But now we're into, what is this, week 3 without Around the Horn. I don't know, I mean, I feel like I'm an astronaut in the ocean.
Really?
Yeah. Because I just accomplished something. Signing off the show was a big thing for me, right? And I felt it. I felt accomplishment. I felt conquest. It didn't feel sad to me.
Uh-huh.
People are like, are you going to cry? You cry for everything. I didn't cry for that at all. And for me, it was like the astronaut has come back down to Earth. But now you're an astronaut in the ocean. You're wrapped in a parachute. You're floating around, and you're just like.
Yes, and I think your feeling to that, I can relate 100%. I think yours is way stronger because you did every day, and it was not to like pigeonhole you and say it's the only thing but you did it every day, and it was the main thing people knew about you. It was just the association right there. While we don't want to, and this is something I've learned over the course of my career, you never want to put your full value into your career, right? You want that to be a part of who you are, and you don't want it to define you. But I feel that's
live to work. No, you work to live,
right?
my friend.
That's
right?
Probably hard for you.
Well, I mean, I certainly was working to live, and you could say it. I did one job. I did PTI and Horn, and I did a little Good Morning America, but very little, and Horn, and it was an assessment I made that this show needs me to give it my 100%. And I'm very content with that decision and happy with that decision. I feel fulfilled through it all. But it does lead to that day after where it's just like I've done one thing for 23 years.
Is it a feeling of you've got more to give, or is it just
I have a lot more
lost?
to give. No. The feeling right now is, I have a lot of different avenues I can proceed here, and I'm going to be taking multiple directions. I'm not going to be a one-show person now in this next installment. But just wanting to hit it right, I love some of the options out in front of me, but I love what we're doing right here. I enjoyed going on YouTube Live for 2 hours after the Horns finale. I loved trying to figure out how I would be in this space, and I'm still working on that. Reali Rewind is this called, right? We're watching an old episode, the first hosting episode. Maybe not even the first, actually. I think I hosted a couple fill-ins before this, but my first time as full-time host. So that's what we're going to rewatch. Yeah.
All right.
And so that's what I want to rewatch this because I want to see the takes, honestly. I want to see – I mean, I saw a little bit of it a few weeks ago, and I wanted to see Woody and Jay and Tim and Bill. That's the lineup that day, and how youthful they are and how youthful I am. This is 2004.
Okay.
This is a movie I love. I started to say it today to Dan, and then, of course, we got sidetracked. Boyhood, Richard Linklater. Ethan Hawke's in it, and I'm blanking on who the young man is in it, and it is shot over 20 years. And I felt an emotional upheaval of my body watching somebody age in a 2-hour window 20 years.
They shot that over 20
They
years?
shot it over 20 years.
That's insane.
Linklater does this when he's not making another incredible movie, School of Rock. He likes to do very long-form storytelling. But, yes, he had Ethan Hawke come back every year and shoot 3 minutes worth of movie, basically, right? So it made me feel very emotional. So I wanted to do this as an exercise to go back and look at myself when I was 25 years old at this moment, and how I felt in that moment, knowing how I felt, but not really remembering exactly what we were playing through. And then now how I feel today, having said goodbye to the show. And, of course, I want you to be a part of this because you know me so well. And we're going to get Tim Calishaw any moment checking in, and Woody Page maybe in a little bit. Bill Plaschke also says he's really going to try to make it work if he can get his schedule right. But right now we can take some questions real quick because I haven't I've tried to respond to as many comments and notes as possible. I started my website, TonyReali.com, and I'm at I've responded to maybe 200 of the 1,500. The YouTube comments, maybe another 500 or so. And Tony will back. I don't know what that means, Joseph, but yeah, Tony, your voice is missed, my friend. Well, thank you very much, GSH3311. Izzy! Exclamation point. Game of Thrones Cup. So this is a game. This is a different type of Game of Thrones Cup, but I do appreciate a nice pineapple. Again, I'm happy being your tourist. I've been to Miami about 5-10 times in my life.
Is that it?
Yeah, not much more than 5.
You don't have. What's your most memorable experience down here?
You chucking 3-pointers from midcourt at the former American Airlines Arena when we were playing at the NBA Finals? Absolutely.
Never took. Was I taking 3-pointers from midcourt?
You were taking Caitlin Clark range 3-pointers.
Really?
I couldn't believe you had the arm strength. Huh. I could not reach from 35.
Right. I don't know if I was pulling from 35.
Okay, I've definitely exaggerated this, but I was shocked that you had such confidence in yourself that you would shoot.
I mean, it was fun. Once
so
I
Israel and
I saw everybody else wasn't shooting well. I was like, okay, I can handle
Israel and I had met once or twice at total at this point, and we had done Horn probably 100 times, I would imagine. And it was the Mavericks.
This was 2011.
Super Bowl, 2011,
right?
Yeah.
So
I
first on the show in 2008. So yeah, over those 3 years, probably had met maybe once.
Yeah, I think so. I think we went out to dinner.
Yeah, and then I remember being on the court, and first of all, the NBA courts always feels way bigger.
So big.
Feels way bigger.
So big.
Especially when you like in comparison to all those 6-8 people on there, and it makes it look small. When we go on there, it looks huge. And the first thing I remember you doing was running up for a layup and completely misjudging the distance.
Exactly.
And it ended up being like an extended finger roll, and so which I don't think made it.
Yeah, I do remember the size of that, and I remember a few other members of the media. One specifically was Rick Bucher, I believe.
Fouls a lot.
He fouls a lot, and he's a former soccer player. I think he had good fitness.
That's fine.
I think so. Yeah. Kind of
Shandell Richardson was there, I believe. He's the one who took the last shot when it probably should have kicked it to me. I was wide open, but he's going to say my jumper's ugly.
But I think I set the stage there by outworking. I was moving.
You were running the floor.
I was running the floor.
Whew, I don't even know who the comp is, but
I was in triathlon phase. I like what people want me to do movie reviews. I had no idea I could do movie reviews.
Well, I mean, since we made fun of the pineapple, how touristy it is, can we show the jacket, please?
Yes,
because
okay.
This $10
so it's very cold in
jacket
here, guys. I got this for $10. Whoa! I am seeing somebody come among us in the very near moment. So Tim Calishaw is going to be with us, but let me put the jacket on so he knows who he's dealing with. So it's cold in the studio. Oh,
it's behind you.
Yeah. And I just walked outside to pick up a jacket. This cost me $10.
That's like a cardigan.
It's a cardigan.
Okay.
I don't wear cardigans either.
But
this is a Scarface cardigan. I think. Montana.
Yes,
right there
it says Montana on the back in black.
It's the name of the back of the jersey that I really like. And it says Scarface, and I'm going to be wearing this all week in Miami.
Sort of emblem.
And another Tony. Do we have Timmy here?
Do we have Timmy?
Oh,
do we have it?
Voice. I miss
he
this
on?
voice. This is so surreal. It's a word I say I don't use, but I clearly just did, that you talk to somebody every other day for weeks and years. And
Can
now,
I just say this real quick while nobody else is here and nobody else is listening? Tim Kalishaw, my favorite panelist to work with. I've never said that before, Tim.
While no one's listening.
Tim, the show's over.
Let me say
I've
this.
never said that before. It's true.
While no one's listening, let me apologize to Israel publicly. This is the third year in a row we have discussed getting together during the Stars-Panthers Stanley Cup final.
And Stars dropped.
When both teams have been in the conference finals.
Yeah.
And it's the third year in a row I have failed to secure a spot in the final.
You know what, Tim?
For the
I'm going
Dallas
to go ahead and accept your apology because initially I would have said you made me angry because you brought Connor McDavid into my life. However, and this is not to quote Greg Cody and call him Mick overrated, but I am no longer afraid of Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid is, he's Kevin Durant at his peak. He's, Tracy McGrady at his peak, but he is not a one-man operation. And so I'm not afraid of Connor McDavid anymore.
Well, I think he and Draisaitl are a two-man operation, which is sort of like a basketball one-man operation. It just so happens that the Florida Panthers are a beast and collectively, and they're going to beat him again. They're going to do it again.
Damn right.
And I'm glad you're into the Panthers. That's all.
You can tell by the beard.
I mean, I went out and I walked the street
the
this
playoff beard.
Went out and walked the street this morning, and it palpable.
Oh, not
of
that
how
here.
much
Not a Dade
nobody
County, no.
is outside even thinking about the Panthers. But little puck talk, Tim. You can take away a team's best player in a series, right? I mean, that's more so than the NBA, more so than other. You can take McDavid away, right? You can slow him down. You can gunk it up.
I've always said the problem with hockey is you go to a hockey game and you may not really see this. You might not see Ovechkin do much that night, and you wonder, why is he a big deal? An NBA superstar is going to handle the ball enough, even if he has a bad shooting night, you're going to see him do something. You're going to see him do some things. And a good team, a great team like Florida, they haven't completely removed McDavid. He hasn't scored a goal. Draisaitl has been the goal scorer for them. But you can do it more in hockey. You can make that guy, especially when you're at home, you can make that guy a little bit invisible. And that's kind of a problem with the sport in trying to promote its stars. Now, the Stars could not make those guys invisible, and Vegas couldn't, and other teams couldn't. So that's there's only one team I think that can do this right now, and that's the Florida Panthers.
Here's how invisible he has been. He actually did score a goal, a meaningless goal. We're calling that a Sebastian Aho type of goal.
Oh yeah, he did. Okay,
one that nobody does not affect the series whatsoever.
You just dismiss Carolina as a team who beats everybody else except the Florida Panthers.
All right, so we've got something to do today, and that's why I'm so happy, Tim. I want you to go back and look upon yourself. 22 years younger now, which people are going to say there is no difference. I looked at the first comment that came in here, and they asked, give the secret to the fountain of youth, Tim Kalishaw. That's when I said I had Kalishaw on, ask him to talk to us about what's happening right now, Tim. You look fantastic.
Okay, I would say it's all about clean living. I'm 70. I would say it's all about clean living, but there was nothing clean about my living until I was 54. And I could send you a picture of me and Woody at the Super Bowl in Phoenix. Which was, I think, the Brady one. So that'd be the 07 season. So that'd be January of 08. And that's about a year and 4 months before I quit drinking. And I look terrible. And I think, and I'm not drunk or anything. It's just a picture of us at some random party. And I'm a little heavy, but that's not that unusual. I do look as old to me in that picture as I do now. And so I do think that played a role in it. But I laugh at these people who, he hadn't aged a bit. Look how dark my hair and everything is in those early shows.
We're about to look at that.
Goatee. But I have a white goatee that I have to keep trimming down so it doesn't just overwhelm everything. So, I mean,
talk us through your daily regimen right now, though. You're trimming down your goatee. Look at that. Look at that head of hair, though. You're not doing
I
any
don't have a
enhancement there.
regimen, and I'm certainly not a healthy eater, so it's nothing to do with that. I don't drink, I don't smoke, don't do
helps.
drugs. I don't have a lot of vices, but beyond that, I certainly don't do anything special.
The only vice is thinking the Stars are going to make the finals.
Every year, thinking I'm going to go see Israel.
Now
I'm gonna
talk to
have
us
a
about
Diet Coke with
2004.
Israel.
2004, you were burning the candle on both ends back then.
Very much. And then even after that, I did 2 years of NASCAR Now. So, and I had an agreement with the morning news to still write 110 or 120 columns, do 100 days for NASCAR Now. And I was doing about 100 to 120 around the horns. If you add that up, that's about 340 days. And it was, and I was still drinking that at that time, flying back and forth to Hartford or to races. Which tend to be, take you a while to get to some of these locales, Dover, and I'm surprised there wasn't more of a train wreck happened in those 2 years. But that was near the end of my time.
If we're not getting too personal, can I ask when you started feeling comfortable, like alone again, like your alone time moments? Like, what were those like? Were you internally battling anything? Were you just trying to figure out what it's like to just be by yourself sometimes and not have any sort of, vices?
Do you mean after I quit drinking?
After, yes.
Yeah. It took a while, and that's what I was nervous about. I was nervous about how can I fall asleep, because I'm used to having, a drink, even if I didn't go do anything, a couple drinks before bed, and that's how you wind down and go to bed. I went to bed very late all the time, living by myself. I would, go to bed at 1:30 or something, and so that I was scared about that. I was scared about, so what am I going to do? I'm going to watch these sporting events, and I'm going to watch shows, and I'm not going to have anything to drink during them. And if I'm sitting here by myself, or if somebody's over here, I mean, I couldn't really. I didn't have to do the one day at a time thing for very long, but initially I did, and I just couldn't envision what my life was going to be like, which is why I went that long without quitting. But then enough things had come to a head that I thought I was going to, screw up my relationship with my kids, that gave me the determination to do it. But yeah, it took months, 6 months. It took coming out with it in a newspaper column, which I did earlier than I wanted to. I wrote that in August, so I'd only been not drinking for 3 months. And I acknowledged in the column, this is the bare beginning, and I've done 3 months before. But I wanted to do it and kind of put the public pressure on me to know what I was doing, and I thought that would help.
That's the fascinating part. You did play it out publicly, right? And
I think that helped a lot. And then I worked on the book. The book didn't come out for a couple of years. It took a while, and because I wanted there to be a little time with it. And but that I had to do that. I don't think I could have, just because I wasn't an AA type person. I wasn't, even though my dad was in it, and I went to a couple meetings to see him get a chip and hear people talk, and I was amazed at how these people from all kinds of walks of life would get up, and I thought, Jesus, they're all public speakers. They're all so good at this, and they're just bearing their souls here. And I couldn't do that at all. I had to lie when I got my DWI and had to go to a class you attend for a couple of weeks, and they ask you how it happened, and I made up some story about how it happened, and I was completely not there initially at telling my side of the story. But so then I eventually needed to do that to make it happen for me.
Not to. You brought it up in the book, Tim. I mean, when you get a DWI like that, renting cars when you're covering games for your profession becomes such a hard thing to do, and now that's affecting your career.
Yeah, and not to elicit sympathy, I'm the idiot who got the DWI, and that was during my NASCAR time. So what they do is they take your driver's license away for like 6 months initially, while there's not even a court case, but you just have this piece of paper that says this serves as a driver's license for Tim Kalishaw. He had a DUI on July 7th. Not exactly what you want to show at the rental counter.
Right.
Here's this man with this piece of paper. And I was doing NASCAR stuff where, I mean, you have to rent cars in some of those places. There was no Uber, hadn't been invented, and you couldn't take a cab, 70 miles from the airport.
It's an incredible book. And I don't say that just because I love you. Drunk on Sports, available wherever you get your books, as we say. I love memoirs. I love sports memoirs. I'm very much. I think Andre Agassi's Open is incredible.
That's a tremendous book.
It's a tremendous book. It's a must read. I'm reading a book right now called I Regret Almost Anything, which is very funny. I'm sitting now outside or on the plane reading a book, and that's the guy from Around the Horn there. And I'm reading a book that says I regret almost everything by a restaurateur from New York named Keith McNally, beautiful writer. We're talking 200 pages in. We haven't even gotten to restaurants yet.
The guy who wrote Andre Agassi's book is the guy who wrote Prince Harry's
Spare,
book. And he wrote his own book, and then Ben Affleck played him in a not great movie about the book, but the book's really good. About growing up really around a bar in Long Island. I've spaced out the name of the book and the author. I follow him on Twitter, but anyway.
No, Tim, I think we were going here, but I'll just mention it. I had an ex-husband who passed away in 2020, and
I remember that.
He was an addict and didn't handle it very well. And you're honestly somebody that I thought of often, somebody that I still think of often as like sort of a hero, as somebody who can fight through all those challenges and come out here every single day and do this on TV and do this in the newspaper and stuff and raise a family and everything else. So I honestly always very much look up to you, and I'm not kidding when I say you're my favorite panelist to work with. To bring it down a little bit, just because you just know everything. Like whatever sport there is to know, and you don't really brag about it. You just kind of got it in the bag. So just all those things. Love you, brother.
That's all way too kind, but I appreciate it very much.
Well, there we go. We knew with Reali and Gutierrez and Kalishaw here, we'd be eating grief. This is a joyous occasion here. We've rallied together for the first time since we signed off Around the Horn to watch an episode of Around the Horn. We will launch this in seconds. I'm waiting on Woody Page. I'm hoping we can get Woody's reaction to seeing young Woody right before our very eyes right now. Was it the Tender Bar? Was that possibly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew there was a play on bartender.
Thank you.
And Tim, ordering your book today, boom, man, you're gonna be rich.
There you go. Let's get those sales
for these comments.
That's $4 in my pocket. Let's go.
Does Tim know pickleball? Just came in on the chat. Okay, yeah, we're.
Yes, I beat young Ben Kalishaw at it. The first time we played when he was here, actually, for the combination of my 70th birthday and my father's passing. So his grandfather. Yeah, we made a two-part thing out of that trip. But yes, I like pickleball. I think it's a sport made for me. Ping pong is sort of my game. This is ping pong with a little bigger surface.
Yeah, so you don't feel like it's tennis in ways.
Oh, but yeah, you don't have to move. You got to move, but you got to move quickly in very small spaces.
It's so much more ping pong than tennis.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it's fun to play. I want to play more. I've only played a couple times.
It's very aggravating. I mean, when you try to smash the ball, when you're right there,
you think you're just killing it.
It's like you just want to throw something.
It's a wiffle ball you're hitting with a paddle. It's not going to go very hard.
All right, I've had this idea to Mystery Science Theater, old sporting events, sports games, and even old sports shows like this episode of Around the Horn. So we're going to get this underway, and Woody will join us whenever he's available, and hopefully we'll see from Plasky a little bit.
So how are we doing this? We're going to watch the show and just talk over it? Are we going to do like Mike Fratello and just stop it?
Yeah, freeze it. We get one of those freeze-its. I think a freeze-it's important, especially when Tim sees himself for that first time.
He'll probably say fast forward it. Don't freeze it.
There's going to be all sorts of old nostalgia TV cues. This will be in standard definition, of course.
So this is the Monday after the Super Bowl, correct?
Super Bowl 38, Patriots-Panthers, February 2nd, 2004. There's also a prominent halftime that became a story for quite some time.
Ooh, that was that one.
So, and now we're going to get Tim's takes on that as well.
Wow. That's why the screenshot you posted there, some guy said, breast.
Oh boy! Oh, I'm sorry that. Yeah.
Whoopsie.
I need to get the bloops and bleeps to do this. Is that somebody wants to? Okay. Let's see here. If we can start at the top, start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. I believe it's going to start how the show started. PTI and Horn did for the first 5 years of the show in what we called ESPN Original Entertainment. Now, Israel, real quick, you're not on this episode. You joined the show about 4 years later. Where are you in 2004?
2004, I'm at the Miami Herald. I am in my second year covering the Miami Heat. I had spent a couple of years at the Palm Beach Post, so this is my 4th year out of college.
Okay. And Tim, you are at the Dallas Morning News, as you have been.
Yeah, I'm about 5 years into being a columnist. Obviously, not even 2 years into doing Around the Horn. I'm more than 4 years out of college. I'm about 26 years out of college. That's okay.
Not based on looks.
But yeah, so 2004, I'm 48 years old. And I must have driven back. I must have gotten up early because I know I drove. The Super Bowl was in Houston.
Right. We'll have 2 panelists from Houston, but that's the most we could have done at that time.
Oh, so I stayed in Houston to do the show there.
No, I think it's Plaschke and Mariotti are in Houston.
Oh, okay, so that means I got up at 7 o'clock to drive back, and so I'm sure that's what I did.
So that's the setup, and yeah, let's director's cut this with a couple facets here and there. We'll sit back and we'll enjoy this. I'm watching for a couple things. I want to see us all in a different stage of our lives in youth. I want to hear the takes. I really want to know if any of the takes hold up because, again, this is the Patriots and the Panthers. This is number 2 for Brady, but this is about to be what do we have here with Tom Brady?
But
right?
I want to know what you were thinking when that little logo comes on right
before
you
I want to see the fear in his.
Well, then let me
see the fear
so
in
you're going to see
Tony's
fear
eyes.
in my eyes. So you had a very confident, brazenly confident young man here. I'm 25. I had been doing the PTI show for now 2.5 years, which is a colossal 30 seconds of airtime every day.
Nobody knew your name. They knew you as Stat Boy.
No one knew my name. They knew me as Stat Boy. I had filled in for Max, and I had filled in even for a panelist here or there at 7 different occasions before this.
Oh, okay.
I had won 2 of my 7 shows. Decent winning percentage, up 26%.
Ooh, not bad.
Yeah. So I had familiarity with the show, and of course the show was filmed at this point in the same building, but 2 floors away from PTI. So I had to go down into a basement. In Washington, D.C. Producers Bill Wolf, Brad Como, Susan Katz, Mark Hancock, and Aaron Solomon, of course, is a producer on the show and will become the big boss producer for the remainder of the years once everything gets settled. And this was a phone call I received the night before saying, we need you to fill in for one day. Can you just fill in? Everybody who works for ESPN in some capacity is either in Houston and can't get back to Washington to host the show, or in Bristol and can't make it down to Washington at that time. Can you fill in one day? So that was my marching orders. Bill Wolf, who we both know, or we all 3 of us know, would have written the majority of the show, and I was just trying to get through it. So that's the setup right here. This man just trying to get through a TV show. All right, let's see if we can roll this. See, I like that.
I do too.
Yeah, it was a nice rollout.
Somehow it felt more official. I don't know why.
These 4 things I know are true. Make no mistake. Super Bowl 38 was the best Super Bowl ever. I know Joe Montana and Tom Brady is. Well, he's Joe Montana.
I forgot you used to sit down.
Ooh, how about that, though? I was already going Brady's Montana.
JT saved me $20 on the lingerie bowl. How about that?
Okay. So that was JT, that's Justin Timberlake, saved me on the lingerie bowl. I would not have uttered that line if it wasn't written for me.
I forgot that you were sitting down because this new studio
You forgot I was sitting down. Freeze it right now. Freeze it. Okay, so about this chair.
Yeah.
This is going to come off as very uncouth. This is about as uncouth as I am, but I'll say it right now. So I didn't know how to sit in this chair, Tim, right? This is a chair with a very high back. So I'm not touching the back. But through the first year and second year of the show, I would sit back in the chair. And then I remember getting one comment that says, "You look like Christopher Reeve."
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just terrible. Yeah. And I remember
You did. I do remember you leaning back in the chair. So
a very high chin there when I'm doing that too, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing I know about that chair. Okay, so we had the ESPN Original Entertainment opening, which I do like. There, in a previous life, we would remember there being, I think, Snoopy and the Peanuts had like a little intro that was very much, and then in the 70s, football would have an intro that was very much like usually it was the Peacock was coming out in some sort of way.
Oh, the Peacock is
yeah,
great.
yeah, for NBC. So that was a play off of that. Great posture, though. Thank you very much, Peter Griffin. Remember 4-3 aspect ratio? I mean, I think you're about to get some aspect ratio right here. Young Tony, the Pablo Torre of his day. Okay, so yes, the posture was something I was thrown by. Honestly, I didn't know what to do. What do you do with your hands? You know, that's the line with Burgundy or whatever, or the other one, Will Ferrell.
We got to mention as the chat. Somebody in the chat mentioned the 4-3 aspect ratio because you got the black bars on the side of the screen.
Oh, is that what? Oh, I didn't even realize that's why you're floating in black right here, and Tim's at the bottom right. Okay, so and now what are we seeing right here on the set? Because we felt it was really important for people to know that they were in the United States of America at this moment. We decided to give you a map. We thought this was additive to the show. This is what our country looks like. You know, at the time, Larry King, right, Timmy, had some sort of map behind him, and so this was our first demonstration that we were a regional show. We had people from different regions, and now we're about to meet them after that very stilted "these four things I know are true" open.
We still had to say something in the opening, right?
Oh yeah, so let's see.
That was a huge pain in the ass every day.
To come up with something that was 6 seconds.
Yes.
You know what? I'm just gonna say it. I hated that more than anything else.
Is that right?
That was one time.
You can't win. You can't succeed.
Well, I was still a young guy trying to establish myself, right? Yeah. And at some point on national television, I'm licking my paws like a cat right before the game, right before the show starts, and I'm like, I don't know if this is my favorite thing.
All right, let's hear what the guys got. Plash will be first here, but let's see how this rolls.
Welcome back to the show where sports will not take a backseat to a metal solar nipple medallion.
Hey.
We're talking Jake Delhomme's near MVP performance.
You hear the voice there?
There's
a lot of this.
And we'll get to the very bottom of the streaking incident, all with our hard-hitting national panel. And here they are. At the George R. Brown Convention Center in Houston, representing the LA Times, blah, blah, blah.
Look at young Bill.
You know, this is going to be a whole show of breast jokes. I'm out of here. I'm serious.
See you later. At the Denver Post, it's Woody Page.
Oh, my goodness.
Woody.
At the
wait, hold on a second. Hold on. Freeze it, back it up. What is Woody doing there?
He's exposing a breast.
He's got some sort of little breast type thing in there.
I think it's a baby doll, though. I don't even think it's a breast. I mean, that's what I'm looking.
Okay.
I mean, take a look at this again.
Woody also has one of my most he's a little
this is going to be a whole show
risque.
of breast jokes. I'm out of here. I'm serious.
See
you later. At the Denver Post, it's Woody Page.
Ew. That's a it's
the
head
baby.
Of a baby.
It's a head of
It's
a
baby's head.
Oh my goodness.
He had the most risque joke I've ever heard on the show. I think it was a Valentine's Day episode.
I knew you were going
where
here.
He said, "Hey Tony, I have a heart on for you."
Yeah, and he was wearing a heart on his lapel, and he delivered it. Yeah,
and we kept it in.
So, first thing to notice here is Woody's in the Denver Post newsroom. This
is
something I would have loved to keep forever. Not that there aren't any newsrooms anymore, honestly, but I would have loved this. I loved
right
the
over his
feel
left shoulder
of
is clearly working on a big story. He's got the phone. It looks like to his
Oh
shoulder.
yeah. Remember we used to do that?
Yeah.
You don't do that anymore. You don't put the crook of your neck in there. So that's the Denver Post. That's a great looking shot. I would have kept this shot forever. All right, Timmy, here you go. You ready?
Okay.
All right.
Oh, Woody, hi, the women and children. At the Dallas Morning News, it's Tim Calishaw.
Welcome to the big show, Steph.
If that's what the big show is, I don't want any part to do with that.
Whoa, I was quick there on the drill.
Super Bowl and representing the Chicago Sun-Times, it's Jay Mariotti. Hello, Jay.
Could you imagine Woody with implants?
We are the show that scores the argument that you keep
Not the first time I told her to ignore Jay.
The fun of it started.
So you see what's happening here? I'm doing the scoring system. This is
yeah.
Scoring the show we based on point of view, style, and information. And we can keep on rolling through this.
And this was based on you just start, like, you're just filling in. This isn't you going forward, so you're just filling in and you're explaining the story. But Max didn't do that, did he?
He must. Get it?
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
Good. Let's light this.
Get it, got it good. Let's like this scandal. I remember that line. All right, here we go.
And those first words are absolutely unfriggin' believable. After 24 minutes of painfully scoreless football, the Pats and Cats turned it on. Jake Delhomme and Tom Brady led two supposedly vanilla offenses back and forth like Clint Eastwood and Charles Bronson, out-toughing, out-gunning,
No way I wroght that.
out-fooling each other until Brady and the Pats were the conquering heroes and Delome in Carolina, the valiant but beaten runners-up. Guys, was Super Bowl 38 the greatest Super Bowl of all time around the world?
Wow, we went right there to start.
All night with my friends from New England, I have given this careful
For a second there, did you wonder, prisoner of the moment?
That's
That's our first show, don't care.
I was in prison.
No, it's not even in the top 5.
Okay.
You only got to look at Green Bay and Denver. You've got to look at two Dallas-Pittsburgh games.
That'll work.
I tell you what, the 1991 Giants-Bills game that was decided on a missed field goal at the end of the game. And you go back to number 3, that had to be the most exciting game when the Jets upset the Colts.
It's 2004. It's for the masses.
Look at
Super
Jay
Bowl is
coming
for
like a
everybody. It's
sledgehammer.
about an entertainment extravaganza, starting with halftime, like it or not, and then you build up to this great rush at the end. What more could anybody want? You have a drive to win a game. Vinatieri kicks the winning field goal at the end. I usually am bored to tears by the Super Bowl. Today, the whole country is buzzing about the halftime show. Tom Brady, Vinatieri, and the Patriots placing history. It's a wonderful Super Bowl.
Jay, you're right. It's about entertainment. The first 27 minutes of the game were the most boring Super Bowl ever.
Good point, Flashkey. Good point.
Oh, look at him coming.
Special teams.
Here comes
this game
Billy.
was full of flaws until the last.
Fan special teams. It was won on a field goal, Bill. Take it back.
Favre and Elway.
Take it
I'll
back,
take Mike
Bill.
Jones and Kevin Dyson. I'll take Scott Norwood in history. I'll take those
Okay.
Super Bowls.
You look angry. You look like you're taking on these arguments and just
Oh, wait.
like,
Well, freezer. We need to go back to Tim here. We need to see how Tim gets in here. First thing I'm noticing here is we did something back then, Tim. You remember, you would get a cue in your ear about jump, right? Yeah.
Right.
Usually when Mariotti was talking.
Usually, but so I'm feeling the flow of this. I like this. This closer to my
Yeah, we talked
personality.
over each other a lot back then.
Yeah, that's closer to my personality, especially at this moment in time. Clearly, it's not what I became because we did a show that was. This is good pace. This is incredible pace. But I can't believe how much I jumped down Plashy's throat there at the mere mention of special teams. I was like, whoa. If we could back it up just for a second, I want to see how Kalisha joins the foray here. Yes, that's fine. Yeah.
7 minutes without a point, 20 penalties, bad special teams. This game was full of flaws until the last.
Fan special teams. It was won on a field goal, Bill. Take it back.
Favre and Elway. I'll take Mike Jones and Kevin Dyson. I'll take Scott Norwood in history. I'll take those Super Bowls any day over this one. It's probably 4th or 5th.
This game had compelling moments at the end. It did have a record number of penalties. Had a horrible replay call that should have been reversed and wasn't. Bad coaching decisions. You know, it had a great 4th quarter. That's it. You can't compare it to the second Pittsburgh-Dallas game for the team of the 70s.
Team of the 70s.
You can't compare it to Green Bay, Denver.
Okay, I hear where you're going with this.
I know you're a hardcore football guy. The Super Bowl is about more than
right there. Oh, that he was just finishing up his point.
It's about kids watching and women watching. And who wouldn't have a hoot watching this thing from halftime?
Hoot.
I mean, it's unbelievable entertainment.
Mariotti, this is not Survivors. This is about the actual game.
All right, Woody. Good point. Stop right there,
back
Blatsky.
to San Francisco and.
So, Jay, you're saying it's about kids watching and women watching,
You're
and Janet
under
Jackson goes
control
topless at halftime, and that's good for the game?
Okay.
You're
All I
crazy.
know is the whole country
I don't
is
really
talking
care
about the
exactly.
Super Bowl.
Okay, everybody can hear it.
Whoa!
7 points in the 4th quarter. What a finish on a kick. Oh,
The Tony
outstanding
Reali
game.
show.
I think it was the greatest Super Bowl.
Oh.
380-yard
Oh, way to go.
Sanders in the 4th
The
quarter.
greatest
Freeze
ever.
it for 1 second. Oh, my God.
Certainly the greatest in my time as a host.
Man. So, okay. So, wait, right now, where was this Super Bowl? This is Patriots versus Panthers. It's not in the top 10,
So
not in
many
the top
good Super Bowls
15.
since
Well,
then.
since then, yes. But even in that moment, that was bold from a young host with a great jawline and a very solid hairline to be giving you that. That suit, I remember it.
Wasn't the Patriots upset of the Rams 2 years before?
Yes, it
kind of
was.
a better game?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that one ended a little bit odd, too. That one was.
yeah. Okay.
So here we are through one topic, 12, 9, 8,
Look at those
7.
points.
That's a good. That's a good. Oh, Delhome's
Talk
on
about a
there.
change
Wow.
in approach. If we would have said at any point in the last, 6 years that was the greatest Super Bowl I've ever seen, you would have just muted the shit out of us. Instead, you're the one coming with that.
You know what I
hot
liked back then? Woody talked through a mute button. It's like he would just keep on going. Like he didn't care.
take. I love that the mute button is clearly off of like some TV in 1999. It's just the green that you don't even see that.
Yeah,
anymore.
that green is Tim, you got muted even when you weren't speaking there.
Yeah.
So I
right away.
apologize about that.
Sorry.
Rookie mistake.
I've forgotten.
Yeah.
I've forgiven.
All right, let's pick it up with well, now we're doing the Patriots, I guess, for our second topic.
Brady.
Yeah, Brady.
Let's see who saw this coming.
Yeah.
As first reported on Around the Horn, Super Bowl 38 was epic. Not only epic in its own right and in its own time, but a part of a broader look at football history. Our own Mr. Michael Holley writes in today's Boston Globe.
Ooh, that's a really nice push
The Patriots in a
That's
historical
great.
sentence that few teams are able to utter. You can call them one of the greatest teams of all time. A team that wins 15 consecutive games has to be considered one of the finest in the history of the league. Guys, do you agree with Michael Holley? Are the Pats one of the greatest teams of all time? Around the Horns of Jay Mariotti.
My friend Mr. Michael Holley is selling a book. I'm sure it'll be a great book.
Oh.
But come on, stop it.
Wow.
Mariotti.
Look, this team,
a force of
in
nature.
its place in time, terrific clarity, free agency. It's hard to believe you can win 2 in 3 years. But this team against the 85
I want to hear somebody
Bears,
say he'll never win another
this team against
one.
the best 49ers team, the best
Hometown
Cowboys team, those teams would have shellacked the Patriots. They don't have a good running back. They were shaky defensively because of their injuries. And look, the Panthers almost won the game. Too many
Not gonna lie, I
mistakes
thought this
there.
was a Cam
If you're
Newton
going to
Super
accuse
Bowl.
Michael Holley of using his column to show football, do it to his
That's
face.
how memorable the
Very
Panthers
weak.
were.
Shush. It's very weak to do that on
Shush.
this show. I'm very embarrassed for you. And furthermore,
Flash
the Patriots
is
aren't the best
Bill.
all-star collection. They're not the best roster, but the best team. They may be maybe the best team in history. 15 straight games. And how many Hall of Famers are on
he
this
went
team?
there.
Maybe one.
Wow,
Maybe.
that argument
15
holds
straight
up.
games
Bill's
on
been
that
doing
game,
this
no
thing
one
for
can
20
see
years.
it.
He's been doing
Bill,
this.
very much. Bill, thank you very much for making my point and Jay's point for us. These are not great players. This is a great system, a great coaching job,
A great
some
team.
underrated players, an overachieving team, one that won 3 playoff games by a total of 13 points. Are you kidding? The 85 Bears, the 91 Redskins,
Yeah, Bills holds
Steelers
up.
in the 70s, 49ers in the 80s.
All right,
This
freeze
team would
it.
be a 2-touchdown underdog against
Tim, how do you feel about that take right now?
That's a good take. That's a good strong
You think
take.
it's a solid take? No, everything
Yeah,
you
they
know.
had won. They had won 6 by then. They won 2.
So in the moment, you stand by that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good. I'm good with that.
You're good with that. All right, let's hear.
I'm
what
riding
Izzy-
with Jay there.
All right, yeah, you and Mariotti, man, what a force of nature. Just such good energy. He is a sledgehammer.
Energy was my issue on the show in those days. With Paige and Woody, it was
to
hard
match.
to get to that level. And the other thing you mentioned, the newsroom, I hated. There were on this particular day, there's nobody right there, but there were people right and left of me.
Yeah.
And there were news reporters I didn't know.
The worst.
They're on their phone, they're doing work, and I'm sitting here screaming about stuff. It took me a long time to figure out how to do that.
Never really understood how you guys did that. One time I had to do an episode from the newsroom in Bristol,
Oh.
just in the middle of everywhere, and I was just
Yeah.
like, I don't know how those guys did it at the newsroom all those years.
All right, we're gonna get Woody Page up in here any moment once he figures out how to Zoom. But
A couple of days.
right now, let's hear what he's got to say about the Patriots' potential dynasty.
You and Jay are not getting it. Bill is the only one. He made the point. You are only as strong as your weakest link.
Absolutely.
And the New England Patriots have strength
Well, you're on the
from
show.
their weakest players to their strongest players. I think you do have to put them up there with those Pittsburgh Steelers teams. You have to look back and see how many teams in history won 2 out of 3
How
Super
many
Bowls.
teams in history, Jay?
Wait, the term team, the semantics of that can be taken too far here. This is about a system, Paige. This is about Belichick interchangeable
That's
cards.
what a
It's
team
not
is.
a great- No.
No, the
This
team that has
we-
Mariotti,
The team
okay,
that
you're
has
still stammering. Platsky, go.
Jay, it says a lot about you
Oh,
that you think the
Tim
word
just
team has
steamrolled
semantics
it.
to it. It's just about team. It's about the whole thing. And Kalishaw, if all these teams were so great, how come they didn't win 15 games in a row? if
Answer
they're
it,
such
Tim,
great
answer
players.
it.
By the time they're in the playoffs, they were killing people. The team that has a chance to be great is next year's Patriots, when all their players are back and they got 4 picks in the first 2
Wow.
rounds.
All right. Okay.
Oh, okay.
This
I saw the
team
repeat
beat
coming.
The only undefeated team, the Miami Dolphins. There's no doubt
You
about
are
that.
absolutely right.
No,
Getting to
no
the
way.
point there. 5-0 those Dolphins were against teams with a winning record. This Patriots team, 9-0. They
Wow.
won 15 in a row. Hey, they were
Wow.
unbeatable after the middle of September. That's a great all-time
And they
team.
would have killed them.
By yourself,
not even-
next.
come on.
Coming up, B-R-A-D-Y. He don't need no alibi. He's tremendous. But is Tom Brady on a level with the original Joe Cool? God.
Who was that?
Westgate explodes on America. Genius marketing or an outrage? Opinions abound.
The Horn. So that is our
great Bill
producer,
Wolf.
Bill Wolf.
That was Bill.
Yeah, I saw him in the
Unbelievable.
street in Brooklyn just last week.
Really?
He's getting married again, and he's walking on clouds. You know, a nice
Good.
Italian American. He's saying, "Oh man," he's very very happy. So he's in my neighborhood, and I just saw him in the street the day after we signed off. It was
Coincidence.
Yeah, coincidence. So that was the disembodied voice, and that was a nice little mechanism we had in the show, you know. And his ability to just oversell it and rhyme is beautiful, and I loved it. And I tried to keep it up for about a year after this episode, and after he signed off with us. But there was no point. I remember there being a piece of paper posted up in the newsroom with all the rhymes of the word around.
Yeah.
Confound.
That's so great. I'd forgotten all about him.
Sweater native down.
Opinions about. Oh.
So that was Bill Wolf, yeah, the disembodied voice. And that was their mechanism, similar to Stat Boy, for a little bit of accountability and corrections at the end of the show. So I think he'll come back and say, here's what we messed up on, but also a timing device. Bill Wolf. Bill Wolf was early settler on ESPN too.
Yeah. I remember him. I talked to him about some stuff for ESPN, and it was funny. I think we talked about maybe doing some stuff on Get Up and telling people how to be healthy, and I was like, maybe.
I also think he wrote a screenplay that was made into a movie, a feature film with Martin Lawrence called Rebound. I think it was called Rebound. Yeah, I think Rebound. I think I have that right. Yeah.
Wow.
I think he's a screenwriter. Well, I mean, he got a movie made as a screenwriter.
Yeah.
That's pretty great. All right, so we're into where is our friend Woody Page? This is not surprising, but where? We are into the second segment of the show. This is a show with 4 segments, unlike the last.
They used to take a panelist out
Yes.
after this from the second segment on, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I like Timmy's chances.
Who's it going to be?
I don't know if I like Timmy's chances here. All right, so let's hear what we got here on Jake Delhomme.
I for sale.
It's buy or sell time, so let's keep it moving. First topic. Read almost any paper in America today, and you'll find the consummation of 2 weeks of Super Bowl hype about Tom Brady. All over the place, the leading columnists in sports drew comparisons between 2-time Super Bowl MVP Brady, the youngest QB ever to win the game twice, and the equally totally cool 4-time Super Bowl winner Joe Montana. Boy, do you buy or sell the Tom Brady-Joe Montana comparison now, Flatchy?
You know, you didn't read that in the L.A. Times this morning. Let's see Tom Brady win 4 in 9 years, and let's see Tom Brady win a game-winning touchdown drive in the Super Bowl, not field goal drive.
Tom Brady's at home. Okay.
Hey, wait a minute. Hold on one second. Lasky's right.
Yeah.
Brady's
Freeze it for
never
1 second.
Consider him among the great
Never won 4 in 9
but
years.
He's not in a class yet with Montana or Terry Bradshaw. If he comes back and wins another one in his career, he surpasses a lot of guys. Marino, who won none. Elway, who won 2.
Okay, moving on. You're selling. We got you. Now, Tim, do you buy or sell this one?
These guys are wrong. You have to buy this. He's 26. He's already won it twice. This is the appropriate comparison to make. This is what he
Timmy! Wow!
Where are the points?
Seriously. People at home are wondering that right now.
I'm buying here. I mean, he could win again next year. He's on pace. Plus, the important pointer, he doesn't have Jerry Rice. He doesn't have Roger Craig. It's really just Tom Brady. Of course, you can make this comparison.
You got it. No quarterback won 15 games in a row in one season. Greasy didn't even do that because he was hurt for part of the year. Next topic.
What a download of information there.
Jake Delhomme isn't a Super Bowl caliber quarterback this morning, huh? Yeah, he started 1 for 9, but by the time he was done throwing touch pass after touch pass and leading the Panthers back with 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter, his slow start was long forgotten. Buy or sell Delhomme's performance as the greatest ever by a player on the losing side.
I got to buy this. At the end of the game, I looked at the statistics, and I'm not a stats guy like you, boy. But here's the point. His quarterback rating was higher than Brady's. He also threw for 3 touchdown passes, and he did overcome the problems in the beginning. He adjusted, just as I said last week. He threw those great medium to long-range passes.
All right, Tim, go.
I think Delhomme was the MVP of this game, but I'm selling this.
Wow.
Great performance, but Thurman Thomas against the Giants had 190 yards, was completely unstoppable. Buffalo only had the ball in 19 minutes.
Well, that's not his fault, Jay.
No, I'm buying. This is about perseverance. This guy was beaten to a pulp in the first half, came back, kept his head, and played a terrific football game against Belichick's defense.
There you go.
Defense. He carved it up. I'm buying.
I'm selling this. I'm just so amazing. Everybody so conveniently forgets the first half. Jake Delhomme, if he had been any good in the first half, Carolina would have won this game easily. Let's go back to Thurman Thomas. Thurman Thomas, 190 yards, like Tim said, throughout the whole game. He was clearly the best player in that game. Norwood makes a kick. He's the MVP. He should have been MVP anyway.
You know what? Bill,
80-yard drives in the fourth quarter against Bill Belichick's defense. Woo. I'm not saying that's the best by a losing player. Don't forget, a losing player has won a Super Bowl MVP before. Jake Delhomme was great.
You were really high on the
Super
Bowl, Tony.
Man, I mean, it was almost like
to make a 21.
What was the final score on this one?
John Fox went for 2, and the Cats failed. Later in the fourth, up 22-21. Fox again decided
the pace
to go
of the
for 2,
show
and
is on
again
fire right now.
Hindsight clearly suggests that kicking the point in both cases might have worked out better. Guys, you make a living in hindsight. Do you buy or sell Fox's decision to go for 2 late in the game?
A lot of color.
No, you definitely sell this, and it's not hindsight. I said it. Everybody else sitting around said it's way too early to do this. Look what happened. It was 21-10. Carolina scored 3 touchdowns. New England touchdown and field goal.
No way you were 48
years old there, Tim. That should have made it 31-31. Return kick should have tied the game, not won it.
I'm buying. I like their aggressiveness at the time. I told my colleague in the press box, I like this. We disagreed, so I'm sticking with my story there. You've got to do that, guys.
Platsky? No, I'm buying this, too. And I don't know who you were sitting around the press box, Tim. Oh, yeah, it was Woody. That's right. No, I'm buying this. How does Fox know what's going to happen? He probably thinks if they get the 2 points, the field goal could tie it. They hadn't scored hardly at all that game. How did they know they was going to score that many points the greatest fourth quarter in history? How did they know that?
Woody.
Oh, I'm selling this, and of course Mariotti was telling all those guys in the auxiliary press box. That's why they're sitting down there. 5 times this year, I have said during the course of games,
a good media joke.
Went for 2, that was a stupid decision, and that's the reason a lot of them are coaches. They can't get real jobs. That was a stupid decision. You don't ever get that point back.
Take it. Okay, 12 minutes to go in the game. They had 2 more possessions in front of them. I don't think it was as wise.
Timmy, you need. We're gonna freeze it right here for a second. Timmy, we have one more topic.
31 points, and I'm trailing.
And then you're not gonna have the opportunity to talk about the very, very just well phrased breast right there.
Really wanted to get into that discussion.
You know, like, could you have done Janet Jackson? Could you have done Timberlake? Could you have done Halftime? But we just put breast on TV. Unbelievable. So, Mariotti 36, Page 36, Plaschke 35.
Imagine having no idea. You didn't watch the Super Bowl. You didn't watch.
I think Tony was least. Tony was least afraid of me.
On the screen, and coming up soon, a breast.
I
don't think anybody would be excited about that.
I think this is where I was, Tim. You're getting into my headspace here. It's like, who's going to be most angry with me if they get eliminated? And I think I made a bet that Tim would not be able to get the energy up to call and leave a message on the machine.
It's going to be a Paige Woody showdown. Paige and Jay showdown.
I mean, now we're going hindsight. Plaschke has some absolute gems in this. He's
been strong today.
That holds
He's been
very, very well. Very well. All right, Belichick. What are we going to do here? Is he the greatest coach of all time? Every topic has been so black or white. Is this the greatest game?
I think it's going to be what level of credit, if the credit pie
Which
chart.
Is unbelievable because we still had this conversation 20 years later. Deserves the credit. So let's see what it is here. I'm interested in that. You're right.
Time to revisit another item of unending super hype. Bill Belichick's now got 2 Lombardi trophies as a head coach, 2 more as defensive coordinator under Bill Parcells, and the Patriots look to be loaded and ready to go for 3 out of 4, right? Buy or sell Belichick now, having surpassed the greatness of his mentor, Bill Parcells. Mariotti?
No, I'm going to sell. I think they're about even right now, but this man has laid out the blueprint for how to win in 2004. You can suffer injuries. He's a very smart man. He understands the salary cap, and I think in time he will surpass Bill Parcells. Not yet,
JJ, I'm selling this, and you're wrong, even though I agree with you. You're wrong. They're not even even. They're not even close. Parcells has turned around 4 different organizations. Totally turned around. Belichick's done it to 1. Parcells been to 3 title games in the conference. Belichick's been there twice with 1 team. Not even close. It's still not even close.
Oh, I am buying this. I was approached by so many Patriots fans who made a great point. The Lawyer Malloy problem at the beginning of the year, all of the injuries, they overcame more injuries than any other team in the NFL to get where they did. And he has put a system, as we said, in place that works.
Hold on a second, Tim. Finish up.
I'm selling because the question was, has he passed him? He's pulled even with him, though. Jay's right. You know, and
nuance, little nuance from Timmy.
He turned around Cleveland. They went to the playoffs. Then the team moved, and they were going to move to Baltimore. When they were going to move to Baltimore, that's when the team fell apart in the 5th year.
All right. You know, they're even now with 2 wins. Parcells has been to 1 more, even though it didn't work out too well for him in the end. Just this year, though, Bill Belichick finally got over 500 as a
that's a max imitation right there.
There yet, though. Let's see what happens over the next 5 years. Looks like we're out of time. Mr. Callis, what do you think of Aerosmith?
What do I think of this host? He scores the same way the last.
Whoa.
Sorry, Tim. Get out of here.
What do I think of this?
Coming up, Shaq went for 36 and a win and still cussed a blue streak on live TV. Is that a problem for the NBA?
Oh, my.
Scott Norwood was
What do you think the word
vilified
is?
for missing a long one. Was that any worse than kicking off out of bounds?
So, yeah, bounds and horn, bound and horn. Yeah, a bound.
It's around the horn. We're at the G-Rock.
It is fast-paced, huh? Look at these points. Look at the points.
The frozen screen.
Way to really make the scene work, Tim. You really stuck that pose.
Did you hear Bill Wolf, though?
Yeah, dreaming of Daytona. They had jokes.
Where it's all inbounds and today all nude. Easy, Woody.
Whoa.
First topic. The Jackson family. After Nelly and P. Diddy made America blush with the old hip-hop crotch grab and butt reference routine, Janet Jackson made every jaw in America drop when she allowed Justin Timberlake to unbear her right breast as the halftime show ended. Yowza.
Wow.
The NFL and CBS were quick to run from the incident. Timberlake called it a wardrobe malfunction. Guys, besides your animal instinct, what was your reaction to that reading Tebow moment?
Well, the NFL was punked.
So
I mean, this
serious.
is Janet getting attention. It's the oldest trick in the book. But you don't do this in front of all of these people. And I thought about something Plaschke would.
Children.
As a
The
moralist.
children.
I thought about kids for a
Yes!
Oh, the kids. Think of the kids.
TV. They're more accustomed to this than we think. The NFL's at a crossroads. They got to figure out what they want to do in future halftime shows.
There's the first
you,
jabroni we
Reverend
heard today.
Bill, used to sneak around with Sears catalogs and National Geographic magazines.
Sears catalogs?
Kids today will never understand. They'll never
We're
understand the
talking
Sears
about a country
catalog.
that needs to catch up with the rest of the world and stop being so prudish. Cable television offers this
It's
every
not
day.
so
The
prude.
National Football
Easy,
League got
Plaschke.
exactly what it wanted with this.
Unbelievable.
What did it expect when it put
Woody.
Diddy and Janet
Why is
Jackson
it-
up there?
Woody, why is it so prudent to ask Santa Claus not to drop his drawers of the Macy's Day Parade? That's what this was. This is a family holiday on commercial TV. The NFL messed up. She messed up. And also, Marietta, you said earlier in the show that entertainment, the Super Bowl was great because of the entertainment for
he
kids.
asked me
And now you're saying it's not.
Jay, easy. The NFL messed up. This was an MTV thing. They won't be doing it anytime soon. That's the network that brought you the Madonna Britney kiss.
Oh,
and remember,
boy.
this league
Oh,
doesn't want
boy.
people talking on
Oh,
cell phones, and they have that. Oh, forget about
Have
it.
you ever seen
Forget
NFL
about
Oh, freeze it for 1 second. All right, so that
Forget
does.
about it.
I don't feel so great right now. You know? I just don't. First off, Diddy was involved with the halftime
No
as well.
idea.
That
Yeah.
I mean, just now. I mean, okay. So we thought of the children, which is interesting. I remember.
Yes, we got 'em in.
I don't remember this conversation from the show. I actually remember it more from PTI, oddly, for some reason. Because I remember Kornheiser asking him, what would you just say to your child, Matthew wasn't even born yet, if that breast was, son, that's a breast. And that would be the end of the conversation. I mean, he that's how he approached it. Meanwhile, we have Jay and Bill saying, think of the children.
What would you have said there, Tim?
Yeah.
That's a good question because I'm sure, like Rachel would have been 10 and Ben was like 6. I'm sure Rachel was at least watching the halftime show, and I'll have to ask her. I have no memory of having any discussion about it. Maybe we did. Don't remember it.
I remember thinking it was very overblown, and I guess at the time I still considered myself relatively young,
Yeah.
and so I was like, this is nothing. And plus, like, I don't even think it was on the screen, but for like half a second, so you really had to be locked in.
Yeah.
Or something like
Oh,
that,
yeah,
so.
it was very, very hard to see, honestly. But I remember now, I don't know where those words that came out of my mouth came from. I mean, that's not necessarily how I feel. No, but
Besides your animal instinct.
besides your animal instinct, I think had to be scripted for me, and I read it. But I read it.
Yeah.
I was the one on TV reading it, so I gotta. Last Sears catalog was 1993. Oren Day says, "Yeah, that was an incredible line from Woody. As you guys have watched your Sears catalogs, and was it National Geographic?
I mean, people don't. At Sears catalog, they just had modeling underwear, male and female.
Yeah.
So it was just like, hey, let's just keep this around.
I think Flash should call it the Macy's Day Parade, not the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Well, Macy's Day is a big day.
Macy's Day.
And he may have compared Janet Jackson to Santa, which is, I mean, you can go there if you want. Okay, so that story, if you remember, Tim, lasted months with the FCC and everything, right? I mean, that was kind of a big deal. But now I happen to know this to be true. At least there's a point where that video led to people trying to watch that video, and that video was not easily something you could just call up. So it basically hastened the invention of YouTube. There's
really?
an origin story for YouTube, which was like, something just happened on TV. I want to be able to show people the next day. How do I do that? I didn't VCR taped it. Where do I place this? And YouTube basically gets born out of that. How wild is that?
That's crazy.
And this is my first show hosting Around the Horn. The show that had the Super Bowl, maybe the greatest Super Bowl ever, some people had said. And Tom Brady and
if
Bill
we go back
Belichick
historically, are you the only person who has ever said that about that Super Bowl? Probably was true.
Yes, exactly. All right, and now we have a streaker that we have to talk about too. Let's see what this is.
The part of the halftime scandal everyone missed.
Hey, remember this.
Disguised as a referee who ran out to midfield.
Disguised as a
that guy, yeah.
They never would have showed this these days.
And pants and did a jig.
Yeah,
in
right.
Only. After about 30 seconds, Patriots linebacker Matt Chatham gave the guy the old Mike Curtis, drove him into the ground, and ordered him restored. Guys, you were there. You saw it. What was your reaction to Mr. Thong, Bill Blatchkey?
Hey, I talked to security sources. Here's what happened. The guy had a front row ticket. He came in and watched the game at halftime when it was all dark. He took off his clothes to have a referee shirt underneath and white pants, climbed over the fence in the dark, walked onto the field.
This is incredible inside information.
Had his entry. And, it's frightening. The NFL needs to fire somebody. I don't want these security people running the next Super Bowl because they obviously messed up big time.
I don't think it's as big an issue as you guys did. No. It was actually kind of fun. He's done it in England on several occasions, promoting a casino. And I thought the most interesting aspect of this was that CBS, I knew they weren't going to show him, but to not even talk about him. This was a big story what was going on out there. If he had been a terrorist with a gun, what would they have done? Just tried to cover it up?
I'm not so the whole thing happening from the start. I'm thinking, how in the world did this happen? 5,400 cops in Houston, this amazing security net. We get frisked going into the stadium. You got a Continental Airlines flight canceled to Houston, and yet this idiot can go out in the field and dance an Irish jig for 40 seconds for somebody's spot.
Shout out to the person in the chat who said the Abercrombie catalog right around 2004 would have been
bigger. Jock and stabs the player. That'd be real funny. I don't think it was I thought it was frightening.
Okay, Mariota, last word?
I mean, you've got to eliminate this, and you've got to think about preventing these things from happening again because it could be dangerous.
Got him across the threshold.
You're done. Sorry.
Oh, Woody.
Oh, Woody's out.
Coming up, it was shocking the first time, amazing the second. How is it the third time around?
You guys really like the horn button over the breast there, didn't you?
I miss this music. Yeah. Oh, I love this showdown.
But first, disembodied voice.
Yes, Tony.
How's your wardrobe functioning?
I'm disembodied, Tony. Not an issue. Punch Rodriguez finally signed with the Titans. John Gruden got a 2-year extension from the Bucs. And Punxsutawney Phil, America's groundhog, saw his shadow, which means 6 more weeks of talk about Janet Jackson.
What happened the other way? First topic. With the Super Bowl 38 tied at 29 after a Panthers touchdown, kicker John Casey inexplicably booted the kickoff out of bounds and gave the Patriots the ball at their own 40 with just over a minute to go. You know what happened next? In Super Bowl history, what was the bigger gaffe? Mighty Casey kicking it out or Scott Norwood's missed field goal in Super Bowl 25? 15 seconds each, Mariota.
How easy does it get? You put the ball on a tee, you back up, you run up, you kick it down the middle of the field. Instead, Casey kicks it out of bounds. Gift wraps the game for Tom Brady and the Patriots. To me,
I would have
Norwood's always
challenged
got a
him to
bad
do
rap.
that
That's
live.
a 47-yard field
No,
goal.
Jay, let me ask you.
That's more difficult.
When Casey's kick went out of bounds, did that give 3 points to the Patriots? No, they had to drive back down the field. Norwood is the biggest scorer in Super Bowl history because the kickers need to make 48-yard field goals in the NFL. That cost his team the game. That changed the legacy of the Bills.
It really was.
You're
I like
right.
that call.
Changed lives, cost his team the game. It was a 47-yard field goal. Plus, the Panthers still had defense. They could have stopped him.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You got to feel like you've been killing this show at this point.
I have no idea. I can't believe how watchable this is, honestly.
Trying to wonder why the league is losing money. That's why. People pay good money to come watch these athletes play, and they try to take over the game.
Shaq, we're on live.
Wow.
Wow, look at the breaking news on the bottom. He got suspended.
Even after scoring 36
for that
points
play.
on Sunday, evidently Shaq was not happy with the way.
So he was suspended and we didn't know it. Oh, this is incredible.
Meanwhile, LeBron James went for a career-high 38 points Sunday against
Whoa.
the Wizards.
So LeBron was in the first show.
This weekend, 15 seconds each. Bill, go.
As a man in L.A. with children, I think Shaquille O'Neal needs to apologize to the city of
Oh,
LA
the
for
kids.
profanity.
Oh, not
That
the kids
aside,
again.
His
Oh.
was the base performance because it's the best game of the year, and it shows.
Do it for the kids.
He's surly,
Anti-LA,
he's
though. That's
nasty
very
again.
rare
He's
for
yelling
Bill.
about the referees again. All good for the Lakers.
Bill,
A huge
this
thing.
weekend was one big weekend of indecent exposure. I don't want to talk about Shaq and his foul mouth. Give him soap. Janet Jackson, the rest of it. How about appreciating
You said you
his
like Janet
performance?
Jackson.
We haven't talked about LeBron in weeks. He has a great game and not a soul in America.
A great game against the Wizards, all right? Come on. Point to Blasky. It's a
Christian
sweep.
Laettner in the
Lasky gets the win.
15 seconds of yours. Go.
I'm going to mention one person we haven't even
15
mentioned on the show so far.
Look at the
And
medal.
medal.
Look at the medal.
How come he's he may be the greatest pressure athlete of any sport of our era? I don't care. I want to see Tiger Woods win the
I
Masters
honestly
with
think
a
you
putt,
probably couldn't do
40-foot
another
putt with
show
everybody
with
yelling
the
at his
Super
face,
Bowl logo
doing it
behind
twice
you.
in 3
Right?
years.
He had the
I
Super
want
Bowl
Michael
logo
Jordan.
behind you.
Military,
Right,
great
Bill.
athlete.
Gonna
Give
do
us
it,
props.
folks. We're on a 23-and-a-half-hour break.
Paper
See you
toss?
Tuesday, around the horn.
I told you that last week.
No
No
toss.
paper toss.
Slight chair adjustment, couple buttons.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right now, you
Still banter on the way out.
ESPN.
Pitts are sweating.
That
for
was
sure.
a letting video.
I want to say
That was a very watchable episode
Yeah.
of Around the Horn,
Yeah.
right, Timmy? I mean
Right.
that
Very
moved
fast.
well, very fast, a lot of scoring. Very much was part of my brain and energy level at that stage of my life, and if not now.
The show is different because you literally didn't move. Like it moves differently when you are on your feet.
I think that show could air right now and be pretty good.
I mean, there's a reason the show was on for as long.
Yeah,
as it
yeah,
was.
no,
I
I'm
mean, this
I'm
was an
not
excellent
surprised.
show.
When I go back and I think about it, I think, oh man, those shows, they were just people talking on top of each other. We needed to slow it down. That gets 2 thumbs up.
There wasn't a lot of talk. There wasn't a lot of. I remember more yelling and out of control stuff. That was just.
Yeah, that was good pace. That was just.
That
good
was just
pace.
talking quickly. That was just fast paced.
And that was on a Monday after the Super Bowl where everybody had a lot of stuff to get out, and it felt like everybody got their stuff out, and this new host handled it well.
I think.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
all 4 panelists were in Houston for that game because Woody made a line that he just got back or something, and then
Right.
you, Timmy, you said you were there.
Yeah,
That
I
was
drove back.
So we had 4 panelists on assignment with their
Yeah.
newspapers footing the bill.
Yeah.
And we had 2 people from location. We had that beautiful push in with the video already rolling, and Michael Holly's Boston Globe with the
Flexing
font
with that
coming.
one.
That
Yeah,
was
that was
flexing.
good.
That was a beautiful
That was
piece.
good.
Do you remember what you thought when the show was done?
I remember
Or what you
sweating
did.
through my clothes. I remember not remembering anything that was said. Honestly, it was just so of the moment.
Yeah.
I do know a lot of the words that I said in the scripts were definitely written by Bill Wolf.
Okay.
You know, I mean, there was a Clint Eastwood, Charles Bronson reference, I mean, which probably, if we're going to be exact, would have been more recent than me doing a Goodfellas reference right now. So I'm not gonna knock it.
Yeah.
Did
but
somebody say something to you where you were like, "Oh wow, maybe I can hang on to this"? Like, did they just give
not
you a
that
compliment?
day. Not that day. Maybe that day. I mean, I don't remember. It was so as it played out. That's the first episode after Max was in a contract negotiation. I wasn't necessarily expecting it to go on the next day, but the next day it did. And I do know, I joke about this, but I do know I was out of clothes. You know, I only had 1 suit and 2 ties, right?
Right.
So on Wednesday, I'm really out of clothes, and that was a big thing for me because you had to wear a suit. I remember within a week or 2, Ride Home saying, just keep on doing it. Take off Stat Boy for a little while, and that's how I operated, right, Timmy? What were you thinking, Tim, when this show had the producer, the host, the other producer, and the director all leave the show within a week or two of each other?
Yeah, I mean, I was scared about it because I thought Max was important to the show, obviously. And so were the behind the scenes people, and Bill Wolf in particular. And now, but now Bill hosted some shows. Was it before that or after that? Did Bill leave the same
Bill
time
never
as Max?
hosted a show. Bill hosted mock shows that you would have done.
Oh,
I believe he was taking it for a test drive, but they were filmed after we did a show. So I remember that feeling of
see, I thought he did a real show.
And knowing that we had a contestant from Dream Job named Zachariah Selwyn come in and host a show.
Yeah.
He hosted 3 or 4 shows. I remember that feeling, being asked to sit down and have somebody do the show to try to take the job that I was doing. I remember that feeling a little bit. I remember Bill being around as producer of the show after he had already had signed on to work on the next show on Fox with Max and Como and Lutt. So there was a time where he may have been in 2 newsrooms at once, possibly.
When did you stop wearing?
Okay, I thought he actually hosted the show. I guess you're right. It was just a rehearsal we did. At that point in time, I was too insecure about my own place. It's funny now, but Woody and Jay were doing all 5 shows. That's when Jay had his record run of 200 and
incredible. Nobody worked
60
like
straight shows or whatever it was.
He would cover Cardinals Cubs in St. Louis, fly back to Chicago, then fly back to St. Louis.
I remember him doing Bulls Heat and coming back from Miami at 6 in the morning and doing that. So, and I was getting 2 or 3 a week, which should have been fine, but I was like, I got to get 4 or whatever. So I wasn't worried about the job you did. I mean, looking at it now, you were fine, but I was too caught up in I'm trying to survive here.
Yeah.
Those guys were
not
so
worried
protective of their stuff. And when I say that, I mean like the Mariotti, the Skip Baylesses of the world. Like, you can't go at them for anything that they've said. You can't show any measure of what from the outside would be deemed as disrespect because they were just thought that they were, deserving of all this respect. And I was like, I get it. I understand it. But they all, went on to make great
Do you feel the industry's different now, Israel?
100%. Like,
really?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just people maybe don't take each other as seriously, or it's just people recognize entertainment
people
for what
take
it is.
themselves very seriously right now.
Well, I think
there's a couple of them
Some
that
people
do.
take it too seriously. No, you're right. But I think it's just leaned toward more entertainment, right? I think that's probably been the problem even with Around the Horn.
I think people would say I took myself very seriously, and I never felt that to be the case. I had an article written about me the last week of our show that kind of was, and I was fine for somebody to write it, but show me the proof.
It's an interesting concept. Like, what is taking it more seriously? Is it diving into sports so seriously that you don't talk about anything else and you're all tensed up and you're worked up about it? That feels like taking sports a little too seriously. Or talking about your regular life, humanity and things involved outside of sports, even though you are a sports show. Is that taking things too seriously, or is that just slightly pivoting?
This was a show with an out-of-bounds topic. This wasn't an episode where you saw that. But I do know we did hot dog or hamburger for a topic on our show. And I did know that. After the second or third time doing that, I didn't think we needed to do that anymore. So that was part of my own mental evolution of what are we doing here? Why are we doing Britney Spears versus Jessica Alba?
And it includes a vision of having a long-term future with that show. At some point, you probably believed that, even though you hadn't actually signed anything. Hey, I might be here for a while.
I didn't sign for a year for sure. I didn't get a contract offer for a year. So but I was happy to be doing day shows. Daily contract was pretty good for me.
We had specific days. I don't know what they were, but like Thursday was Britney Spears Day to show her.
Yeah, this is a source of embarrassment for me. But I mean,
we had just the cutaways, whatever, the dancers. Yeah. And I didn't realize at the time someday each had their specific day that we showed them.
Tony, what did you think of the April Fool's episode where Woody hosted? That was a great one. We actually did that twice. It was so good. But the first one was in Washington, D.C. I remember I gave Woody a paper towel to chloroform me or fake chloroform me.
I remember that.
Faux chloroform me.
Right.
And he really put it over my face and I dropped. And then I remember, sitting in the chair, and I got to compete in that show, which was fun. I like that. That was a good show. Maybe we'll watch that one next if people dug this. I wouldn't mind watching Woody host. Anything else, Timmy?
It's sad to see another loss.
Yeah.
Another loss.
Yeah. If you would have had that one, the road to catching Woody would have been that much easier. You took it seriously, right, Tim? Tell people how seriously you took it.
Well, I mean, I took the show. Yeah, I mean, I took it seriously. I was pretty nervous doing the show for several years before I got to a place where I was just kind of normal nerves. Let's just do the show. But I was still pretty scared back then of screwing up, even though we all screwed up and we redid segments because we weren't live.
Right.
But I was definitely serious about it.
Tony was enough of an experienced host by the time I got around to where all the rules were kind of in place, right? So not only did you, at least at the time, felt like I had to have deep dive stats for every single topic. Felt like I had to hit it right in the window that I had, no stumbling. And heaven forbid, I know this is a little infamous moment on the show, heaven forbid you look down for support from written words.
Yes.
Because you can't
you don't do that anymore. Right. I called out Levitard on the radio show for doing that. Please rewatch that April Fool's episode. We would love it. That would be a spectacular watch along. All right, Reality Rewind is oh man, it's
that was cool.
Taking off. That was pretty cool. I thought I was going to feel more awkward looking at myself at a young age. I remember that guy,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I
you
remember
look
that guy.
ambitious.
I don't know how you would get. There's a couple times where you clearly imitate Max.
Yes.
With your hands.
Yeah.
The first topic.
Yeah. You
but
got
I mean,
me.
how would you not do that? I mean, you've watched him do it for a year and a half, and you're trying to fill in.
And I'm certainly on announcer voice there a little bit. I mean, this
just
time,
at the beginning. I didn't hear it too much after that.
I'm 25, but at 22, I was working at WFUV Radio in New York, maybe 21. This is a radio station in the Bronx, New York. I was asked off the air because my accent was so poor. In the Bronx! Delivery, accent, whatever it was. The polish was that. And then soon, ESPN did bring in a voice coach to work with me named Dave Cohn. C-O-H-N, I believe. He called the Yankees for a little bit. And we did the famous Irish wristwatch and other things, tongue twisters to learn how to. So I was probably self-conscious of my voice or trying to put on a voice there. I could hear that. I thought I looked ridiculous in suits, but I didn't look ridiculous.
When did you stop wearing suits?
Well,
it would have been much later. I mean, I wore a tie up through 2014 or so. Yeah, I don't know why.
Was your accent some combination of Staten Island, New Jersey?
Oh, yeah. The armpit of all accents. Absolutely. That's what it was. And, somebody wrote it up this week. He met my brother at our finale, and he said the accent that Reali had, that he had to lose, and he used my brother's accent. I was like, oh, maybe. I mean, it's hard to even remember. I can't even duplicate it anymore.
You can see it in your face when you're, spitting out the stats, and you just, you want to argue sports. It's what you
so I wanted to do that, right. So this is the guy who stared down Kornheiser Wilbon every day and forced his way into Stat Boy, right? So because I wanted to be so combative and contrarian and conflicting. Right. So but I'm just trying to think. Now, Conan O'Brien, somebody wrote this in the comments. My origin story is so different than all of the origin stories, even the guys who had, because I had 30 seconds of airtime a day before I got to do it. And it's so true. I cannot comprehend a network putting somebody on to host the entirety of a show the day after the Super Bowl, the most important day of the year, off of 30 seconds of airtime a day, 15 to 30 seconds of corrections.
I still can't, I guess because you've done the show before, right? But I still can't get over the idea of everything that you just set up for how important that day it was, and you not pooping your pants.
I don't remember. Yeah, I mean, that was
the first time I did sidelines. I've had this the night before. I've told the story a couple times. It's just had a mini panic attack because I remembered how many games I've watched in my entire lifetime that seemed flawless. And it's just now I'm supposed to be a part of that, and I'm supposed to continue to make it flawless. That's weird. This is a different animal, but feels like you were probably more confident than you even should have been.
Yeah, no, there was a false bravado, I think. But I'd covered the Yankees for about 200 games over 3 to 4 year span for one of the local radio stations in New York, and then Channel 11. I had those moments there when you're Tim, you're in a big podium room, or in the locker room, and you hear your voice outside of your body asking the question. You ever get one of those? And you're like, oh, God, yeah, like everybody's quiet, and then all eyes are on you, and it's like the vacuum sucks all the air out. I've had that moment before, but I didn't feel that way on TV.
Huh.
I never felt that way on TV. I liked being a performer. I liked being a pleaser like that.
I did, some like Izzy's talking about doing NBA games and doing stuff live.
Yeah.
And that is a different feeling. We did NASCAR Now live on Sunday mornings, and I did live segments from races. And there was a comfort in knowing we could redo stuff. But then again, we tended to, I think people think like they see bloopers, they see Seinfeld bloopers, and, Kramer and Jerry are laughing, and then they just do the joke again. We do 12 minutes over. We start back at the beginning if you screw something up.
I've always thought, TV should be easier than that. Just cut and then put the other piece right in front of it.
Just start there. No, then you hear Aaron go, "No, we're going to start over." Like, oh my God, I don't want to be the person who does that. Okay. So it's a different fear.
Well, I apologize if anybody joined this chat hoping to hear from Woody or Plashke. We never got them aboard. For the dozens upon dozens of people who did stop by today, I thank you for that. Anything else you need to get off your chest, Tim? Give us your last 10 FaceTimes. What it would have been if you had went on an unbelievable run, won 10 straight shows. Just knock them off.
Wasn't my last FaceTime not a guarantee, but a prediction that Jordan Spieth would win the PGA and he missed the cut?
It precisely was, and it hasn't even gone well for him either. Yeah. Yeah. What did you think of yesterday's Open?
I was kind of bored with a lot of it.
Do you need them to be at 6 under, or was that part boring?
No, but that one. There's a lot of U.S. Opens. I was thinking about this yesterday and thinking about what we would be talking about. There's a lot of U.S. Opens that are just not great. They're just so impossible to make birdies and make any kind of. It's fun. I don't want to see guys 28 under like they are at the Byron Nelson, but you got to have some drama. You got to have some holes where people have a chance. And this is just. They played through some ridiculous rain.
Add the weather to it. It's even worse.
And they're not letting anybody lift clean and place the ball. So just play. We got to keep this on. We got this window on NBC now. We got to finish this up. So it was not a great day for golf.
I thought JJ Spawn, I thought he.
Yeah, he stood up and he made a couple big things. That's kind of cool, but that's.
Yeah, 60-footer to win a tournament's kind of cool, guys. Come on.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, but I watched for like 6 hours, and that was those 2 putts were about it. There was not a lot.
Tuned in for the last hour or so. You got a decent.
Keep it coming, Tony. Please, more Tony. We forgive you. Why? I wasn't asking for forgiveness. What happened here?
It's your fault.
Come back, Tony. It's your fault. Why did you quit?
Watching this is like watching family. Well, that's a very nice thing to say. Bring back the sports.
I do hear that a lot. I do run into everybody, all these people who talk about their childhood.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty
cool. Tim, somebody on the chat said, "Bring back the sports reporters." That's sort of a
Tim.
Sore spot.
Can you be in charge of that one? That one episode that didn't.
Yes, I did one episode with John Powers and John Saunders. I can't remember who else was on.
Yeah, straight to the Broadcasting Hall of Fame. All right, Tim.
Absolutely.
Tim, you've given us so much of your time. Thank you very much, guys. Everybody, say goodbye.
A lot of fun. Good to see Israel.
We love you, Timmy, and Tony Montana. The cardigan I'm wearing. Say goodbye.
What a ridiculous cardigan that is, but I love
it.
It does feel warm though. I'm pretty happy.
Love that. See you, boys.
All right, my man. All right, Izzy. What do we got? What are we cooking with?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Not gas anymore. I think we're done with the show.
We're cooking with gas. Well, we'll take one last AMA. Ama. What does ama mean in Spanish? Love, right? Come on now. Let's spread the love.
Doesn't that mean mother in Korean?
Ama is that right?
I think.
They need a round the horn live feed of an NFL game with scoring.
This would be cool to do.
Please do this for every episode, Jason.
Right.
Come on, man.
Not necessarily on like your big days, but like big sports days.
Of
like
course,
big sporting
right.
events
So maybe we'll click around. But I mean, the April Fools with Woody hosting might be a fun one to do. I think we can see if we can find some other big days or memorable moments in the show. I'm happy to do this for a little bit, but we're going to start.
Holidays that maybe had some big episodes.
Halloween.
Oh, that's
it's
right.
real.
That's right.
Is there any holidays? Yes. So which one would you want to talk about?
Probably the one where I
Bieber.
That was you.
Oh yeah, that's
probably the funniest one to me.
Yeah.
The other ones were very challenging. This one I was just like, oh, I'm just going to do whatever he does.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we made it to the end here of Reali Rewind. I thank you guys for joining. I love the Ask Me Anythings.
All right, so the last one, because right before we leave, the beard, as I'm getting, it's just a playoff beard for the Panthers. It worked last year, so I'm doing it again this year. And as soon as the Panthers are out, getting rid of it.
It is Abraham Lincoln, though, right?
Sure. And somebody says it gives last year I had a little hair with it, so there was God, who was the character? It was man, I'm blanking on the movie now.
Can you grow the chin strap, or there's no connection for you?
I can't really do all that. No. I can grow the mustache. I can maybe, if I really try to, get the connectors on the goatee, but not really. Nah, blanking on the movie. I shouldn't have brought it up. All right.
All right. Well, here we are, Tony, at YouTube Takeover. I don't know if we nailed the takeover, guys, but we're going to try. We're going to try some different things. I want to do some of the man on the street that I've enjoyed with Levitard and the radio show today. I want to see if I can explore positivity in host form, where I would just show up, random acts of reality, as some might say, and even with a microphone and bring a sportscaster's type play-by-play to it. I want to show up at somebody's rec basketball game. Send me suggestions. I'll show up to your court with a mic and a camera, and I'll give play-by-play of your games, and I'll do it with a lot of gusto.
Maybe a working camera, maybe not.
It's possible today's camera didn't work when I was getting crammed on. Or at the gym, or take it out into the ocean. We'll do some surfing, and I'll do some play-by-play for that. Random acts of reality is something I'm working on. I can take clips. You guys want to send me clips? I've seen a lot. I've lived on the internet my whole life, it feels like. But if you want to show me your favorite game, you want me to break down your children's golf swing, baseball swing. I want to get into kids' sports. So please, let me see in the mentions here, and I'll come back tomorrow, and I'll break down clips. We can go from viral videos. I know a fellow YouTuber, Mr. Beast. Beast and I are now colleagues, and we can do some reactions. I like reacting.
My favorites are any young children who score a basket or a goal or something and then have a crazy celebration.
Oh yeah, we can review celebrations. But even just the internet's greatest clips of all time. This is Democracy Manifest. Eating a succulent Chinese meal. You have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay, nor should you. Okay. All right, guys. I feel the love. I love you guys. Israel, I love you.
Thank you, sir.
Not as much as them.
No.
I like my friends, but I love my friends' friends even more. This is part of the things I've been sending people when they send me comments about the relationship we had on TV show. To me, there's a different bond. It's already in a more intimate space, honestly. And I love that about having been on TV every day. And at this current moment, I'm missing that, but I'll get there again. We'll be back on the daily or weekly or monthly. We'll be doing YouTube, and there's a lot of other great stuff coming ahead, whatever ahead is. So thank you very much for the Reali Rewind. Israel, thank you very much for helping me carry this. And we'll see if, hit me in the mentions and what we want to talk about next. I'm getting hearts here. I never knew this. I know you know your judo well, Tony. Yes, thank you. One person. See, I can do a reference for one person, and that makes it all the while for me. All right. May you all have a succulent Chinese meal tonight and have a great evening. We're going to sign off at 5 o'clock, so I'm going to go home and watch what's on TV at 5 o'clock. I have never watched TV at 5 o'clock before because I was doing it, so I'm going to see what's available for us right now. May your pineapples be delicious. May your cardigans be Scarface. We're on a 1.5-hour break. Love you guys. Thank you very much for this opportunity here. Just duck for 1 second, Israel. Oh, okay. Good night, everybody.